but if we're ready, I can get right into it.
We're ready whenever.
All right. So I'll do a little bit of explanation before we get into it because this game's pretty fast paced. So this is Bulk Slash for the Sega Saturn by a company called CA Production, which was a subsidiary of Hudson Soft back in the 90s. They eventually reformed, I guess, in the 2000s, and now they make Mario Party games. Amazing how that goes. But basically, there's a federation of planets. Some faction within one of the planets started a coup, and now us pilot named Crest Dolly, very Japanese, is piloting this bulk slash unit to stop this coup from happening, and we're going from planet to planet to take out the enemy's army. It's very, very anime. And so we'll be collecting navigators who are in this game called M.I.S.S. M-I-S-S, stands for Manageable Intelligent Support System. And I'm guessing they totally made that up just because they wanted to use the word miss, because every navigator is a female. But, oh, got a loading screen. All right, we're just going to go right into it then. So, ready on timer? You can start in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So we're starting from a new file where we're going to get every navigator that you can get on a first playthrough. We're going to be starting in Grün. So every planet has a German word for a color, and I think Grün is green, but I don't know my German all that well. And we're going to get our first navigator named Leon Rhodes. She's a soldier for the SDF, which I think is like Space Defense Force or something like that. They all have a little backstory, but I don't really know them because it's all in Japanese, of course. So we have a transforming mech here, and it can choose between being on foot or in the air. For the most part, we're going to be in the air just because it's a very fast move around, and you can't move around in water on foot because you'll just automatically go into the transformation form. You also have, we have two main attacks. We have these missile that charges up when you're not getting hit or shooting. If you get hit, it resets, and they just it does a lot of damage. It's really nice. Then we have a regular base shot. Same goes for on foot, except the missile is like a bomb that you lob. There's also sub weapons you get that have limited use. There's like a fire blaster. Gotcha. There's some other weapons as well, but the fire blaster is definitely the most useful of them. Right, there we go. So this is the last one. So each stage is basically there's an objective complete, and then there's a boss to fight. Set up my position here. I'm a little close, but this is fine. So the benefit of having a navigator is that by default, if you're not playing without a navigator, you don't get shown objectives on the map, and they don't like give you information let you lock onto bosses. Basically, if I press the X, Y, or Z button on the Saturn controller, it lets me center on the boss. Oh wow, that was a really fast jump. Ideally, you don't want this boss to jump at all, but you just can't control it. There we go. Nice, very quick fight. And the navigators supposedly give like extra bonuses for having them, but the only one I've noticed any meaningful difference of is the secret navigator that you can't get on a first playthrough. There is a seventh navigator you can only unlock after you beat the game 6 times, basically beating the game, getting each of the navigator's endings, and then beating the game again, and then the final one appears after that. So now we're on gold, which I'm guessing is gold in German. There we go, and this time we have to destroy these targets. Here we go. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We have a melee attack if we're close enough to a target in our walking form. But this is like pretty much the only stage where you use it, because it's really good, but it's very rare that you're going to be in front of an enemy to use it. Okay, there we go. Didn't get hit. Okay, now we got the Fire Blaster, a very powerful weapon. You can see that meter draining. So if we had the secret, the final navigator, your weapon meter doesn't drain. You get a weapon infinitely until you change it. And then also your missiles recharge much more quickly, to the point of where you can just spam missiles instead of relying on your laser attacks. There we go. And so now we're going to get the next navigator named Lyra Hart. As soon as we get to her, she's a pop idol of this city. You can see her pictures in some spots, like right there, on the left side. And of course, she's very anime with her pink hair. There we go. And also, there's a level up system for navigators. The more you play with them, they level up to level 3, and they just say more things. I think that whatever bonus they may have goes up a little bit, but honestly, I can't tell the difference when you have them or when you don't in terms of the bonus, except for the secret one. So now we got this boss here. We're mostly just going to be gunning it down, just because a missile charge is pretty slow when you're not using the powerful one, and this one moves around a lot. Oops. There we go. There we go. Nice. So I'll talk about controls a little bit. This game is a little bit of a learning curve with controls, but once you play it a few times, the controls really make sense and they're really intuitive for a game of this era. Saturn is a D-pad system, but there was, analog, of course, at one point. But this game came out before the analog controller was introduced, I believe. But okay, so now we're going to the next stage, Brown, where I can explain a bit more, because this one's an auto-scroller stage. Basically, we're escorting a ship to safety, so we have to basically just destroy everything in their way, and we can't stray too far from it. If we stray too far from it, it just starts taking damage even if there's no enemies nearby. But so we use the D-pad to move around, left, right to strafe. The L and R triggers turn. The B button is your shot. C controls your speed. If you just tap it, you go in 25% intervals. You can also hold it to have a bit more fine-tuned control, but you're never ever going to do that, I think. Then your A button to transform, and then X, Y, and Z, they all share a function of calling your navigator. They basically tell you where your objective is, and they also give you a full view of the map to see like where the objectives are if there's multiple objectives to look for. Mostly navigator calling I use just to center on bosses. There we go. But now we're in the Kingdom of Brown. This is like the only one that seems to have a kingdom as far as I can tell. Every other one is just like, I don't know, some other kind of society. There we go. So I will say this is like when I first played this game, this was probably the last of this stage's navigators. Probably the last one I found of the regular navigators. If only because with this being an auto-scroller and you can't stray too far from the ship, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of opportunity to look around. But this is probably like one of the best stages for score attacking. This game definitely has a focus on that. And you can score attack by chaining stuff, especially if you're on ground. You get bigger chains on foot than you do in the air. So I'm just basically clearing up a bunch of clutter, so that way the ship doesn't get attacked when I'm going to go grab the navigator. Alright, grab her, and for whatever reason, like, everyone's evacuating, but they left their princess behind. Her name is Medical Flare. And for some reason, she's just hanging behind, no idea why. I'm sure there's some story to it that's not explained. Yeah. So now we're basically at the end of the stage now. Just waiting for the cutscene to happen where the ship flies off. And then we get probably the most luck-dependent boss in the game. This boss has a very erratic movement, and it tries to match your speed a lot. And for whatever reason, it seems to favor trying to go out of bounds where you can't hit it. I have no idea why, but that just seems to be the case for me. But yeah, someone in chat mentioned Valuethon, another amazing mech game. When I first bought this game, I thought it would support the twin stick, and it found out later that it doesn't. Alright, so there's another boss. Its main weak point is down there at the bottom. There we go. Come on. Ah. Oh man, he gave me such a good pattern too, and I couldn't capitalize on it. I was too close. There we go. No, don't go out of bounds. Okay. There we go. So I'll show right here, if you like try to fall down into the water, you just automatically transform back into this ship. Alright, now we're going into space. We're going into Schwarz. I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't really know German. But here, we're on a bombing mission. There are 4 bombs presented in front of us, and we have to place them in specific locations. There we go. And they can get blown up, but they'll respawn back to the start. There's a bunch of landmines here. And things trying to shoot it down. There's like 4 locations we gotta put them in. And this song, this stage has like a really sick like drum solo track. There we go. Oh yeah, very anime. And your navigators are very talkative and trying to... Oh! Landmine got attracted to me. That's unfortunate. But like I said, they respawn. Alright, slow down here. There we go. Let's try again. Fortunately, the stage is pretty short, so like... having a bomb blow up on you is not such a bad thing. Let's go down over here. Oh no, that's unfortunate. I don't think I've ever had a landmine hit me over there. But the landmines do like have a bit of attraction, but usually they don't hit me over there, so I'm very surprised about that. Oh, I'll get to hear more of the drum solo. Okay, there we go. Then over here, another navigator. This one's name is Naira Savage. She's purple-haired, and she's an officer of the army we're fighting for. And I'm not sure like if that has any bearing on her character, but she seems like to be like a lot more of a serious character. Okay, slow down. There we go. But an interesting thing with this game is when you beat it the first time, you don't get a special ending cutscene. You have to beat the game. You have to level them up to level 2 before you get a cutscene from them. After you beat the game, basically you get the regular ending cutscene, and then after the credits, you get an extra ending cutscene with the character you beat the game with. Here we go. And I guess you end up marrying whoever you rescue. And my favorite is probably tied with the princess or the pop idol. If you marry the pop idol, her fans like mow you down. It's great. And with the princess, you just have like this whole scene with the king. It's where you jump off a cliff with where she jumps off a cliff, like acting like I guess she may not be like approved to marry you. And then jumps off the cliff into the ship with you, and scares him to death, thinking that she's, you know, ending her life over the lack of a marriage. And it's done in such a comedic way. It's great. Oh, missed that. So with this boss, we have to destroy each part one at a time before we can attack the final part. And each one just has a set amount of HP. Pretty easy to deal with. I've tried figuring out like ways to do this fight even more quickly, like doing it with melee attacks because they're fairly strong, but the ship moves a lot, and it has kind of a set pattern, but at the same time, it's hard to keep up with it when you're not in the flight form. So now we're going to Rot. I think it's Rot. Maybe it's Rot. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know my German. I'm just making it up. But this is probably my favorite stage to move in. It's all tight corridors, and movement just feels so good when you get it right. And this one, we're collecting keys to get to the center of the facility, I guess. There we go. And so I'm just like moving all over with the D-pad and using the triggers to just create some really nice, fun movement. I just really like games with loose movement like this, where you get a great degree of control, but at the same time, you don't have as much control as you would in a precise game. This stage can be a little scary when you're trying to go fast, because there's a lot of stuff shooting at you, and if you lose a lot of health in the previous stage, you only get some of your health back after beating a stage. There we go. Now already on to our next navigator. This one's name is Lupia Rude. She's apparently from a line of like a family of thieves. I guess maybe it's a reference to Lupin the Third. I don't know. Here we go. I'm gonna change here to drop down, go back up, drop down. Bam, just a nice little movement tech there. There we go. And now we're on the final floor, we can get the last key. Okay. Go up a little bit. Alright. So there's like, a turret here, but you can just fly right past it. Those turrets do give health recovery if you need it for whatever reason. But this boss is pretty safe. This boss is also kind of luck dependent, mostly in Phase 2. In Phase 2, it can drop like a bunch of little spider mines that if you detonate them, they do a crazy amount of damage to the boss and can one-shot it if you're lucky. But it's also a lot of luck. Oop. Come on. There we go. Nice. Oh yeah, the boss itself is kind of like spider-like. Okay, so I'm just going to try to wait for it to not move around. There we go. I dropped the spider mines, but I didn't time it correctly. Because that would have done big damage if I was on top of shooting it. And, okay, one more. Oh, I didn't have a full charge. So the difference between having a full charge and not having a full charge is a lot of damage. So, like I said, this game was mainly designed with score attacking in mind. You get, based on your score at the end of the game, you unlock the pictures of whatever navigator you have. And it ranks from 1, 2, and 3. 3 being like the best photo you can get, and that requires like 3 million points, which is not as easy to get as it sounds. Alright, so now we're in M.I.S.S, which is, of course, is the white planet. And I guess it's just always covered in snow. And here we have to destroy these walkers, and there's 4 of them, as you can see on the mini-map there. Go up here. Nice. And all you have to do is destroy the top part. For the most part, they're pretty easy to destroy, but if you let them live a little long enough, they have this really annoying laser attack that pushes you back. Okay, nice. Alright, now we're going to get our last navigator. Her name is Colin Steiner. Well, at least the last we're going to get in this run. Like I said, there's one more, but we have to beat the game 6 times to unlock her. And then play a 7th time. Alright, and this one is basically the token American. There we go. Oh, there's that laser I was talking about. Okay. It didn't get us. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Because she basically just has like spouts out a lot of English words. And now we're fighting an enemy robot that's very similar to ours. It looks like the Zaku Gundam, if you're familiar with Gundams. I can't say I am, but I do recognize that one. So this one's just mostly chasing it around and shooting it down. Because missiles aren't really all that effective on this boss. There we go. Okay, getting stuck there is good. Oh. Okay, there we go. And what I find really funny is that there is a 3D model for the ship you're playing as, but what you see is a 2D rendering. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but maybe it's just for flair, and maybe having a 3D model to look at isn't all that appealing. Alright, now we're finally in the final planet Blau, which is where the coup started. And if we had beaten the game several times behind us, there's a locked room where the final navigator is. Her name is Kina DiBiase. She's like some sort of child prodigy, I guess. Her story's not explained, if only because she's supposed to be a secret character. Even though like there's like a grayed out photo of her in the manual. I'm gonna grab this fire blaster here, very important. This boss is, now we're basically just in a gauntlet of mini bosses. This one has a very predictable AI where it's always trying to be in front of you. There we go, nice, oh, there we go. And now we're getting to this one, which is probably the hardest mini boss, because it has like kind of like a random speed thing going for it. Where I don't like you're trying like to follow it but not go too fast, because if I go too fast then it'll speed up and it'll do a bunch of stuff. Okay, there we go. And the fire, like I said, the fire blaster in this game is really, really good. It just melts this HP. Nope, I'm gonna wait. So it's now cycling between the different weapons. Gonna grab that. Okay, awesome. And now we're fighting the final boss. This one I actually I don't know the name of the mech itself, but basically we're fighting a childhood friend of ours who eventually joined the coup. And her name was Reason Rabia, which I only just learned today. And basically was like a childhood friend of ours, I guess, who separated and eventually joined this coup to fight with the enemy. So phase 1 we did on the ground. Phase 2 you can do on the ground. It's fairly fast, but it's also really scary because the boss can sometimes lay down these mines that do a ton of damage to you. But so we're just gonna take it nice and slow. There we go, nice. So there's like a couple of cutscenes that play in this one where one's like right before the fight and there's one after the fight, and they're fairly long cutscene, like several minutes long. The time will be coming up very soon. I'm gonna turn around here and go in this room. We're basically detonating this weapons facility. And time. So basically we won the war with our bulk slash weapon, our ship, I guess. Go Crest Dolly. Basically the leader of the coup, his name is Aloy Gardona or something like that. And I guess he's forced to take his own life at the end, maybe just to avoid being captured. It's kind of strange, but you know, it's war as heck. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for letting me show off this game. I highly recommend playing it. It runs very well in Saturn emulators. SSF is a good emulator. There's a Mednafen core. I don't remember what it's called, but it's very good if you have a modern computer, like one that's made in the last couple of years, kind of modern. But I'm playing, of course, on an actual Saturn. I own this game. It's a wonderful game, well worth owning. There's a ton of replay value, and it's such a beautiful game too. But thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.